105.9 Academy FM.
The sound of Folkestone.
February is LGBT History Month here in Folkestone, and I'm here to meet Vince Laws to find out more.
Everyone is different, and everyone's the same, because we all came from the same ball of slime. A long time ago, before you were born, creepies came crawling over the lawn. Some creepies grew lungs, and some creepies grew legs, and some had aerials on their heads. Some creepies swim, and some creepies squeak. But all of us creepies are completely unique. So if someone tells you, "You're not the same," nod your head wisely and remind them they're slime. Well, every February is Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual and Trans History Month. It's different things to different people, I think, in the same way as Black History Month is different things to different people. But the important thing, I think, is to be visible and to celebrate. For me, the whole point of it is to give people confidence, in particular people who, like kids that's still at school, people who are having difficulty with their sexuality, people who find it difficult to come out, that kind of thing. I like to be very visible. I am confident, so I like to be confident because I think that's good for young people coming up and for other people who are perhaps a little bit less secure about their sexuality.
So why Folkestone?
I got invited. Thank you very much, Folkestone. Folkestone, I salute you. No, I got invited by this gallery, by Strange Cargo, George's House Gallery at the top of the old High Street here in Folkestone. I got invited by them to come, and they have a lovely principle that you arrive, they give you a set of keys, and they tell you to get on with it. And actually that's lovely. So you can kind of, as you can see around us, you can do what you like with the space.
So how long is the exhibition going on for here?
It opens today, which is Friday the 3rd, and it finishes on the 15th. And in between, we've got a whole series of different events. Tonight I've got an artistic launch. I think we call them a party, really, but, you know, we call it a launch. And tomorrow I've got a very interesting thing. Saturday the 4th, we've got a human library, which is designed to combat prejudice. People come in and borrow a human for 20 minutes and sit down and have a chat. And we've got titles like HIV positive, addict, fat woman, cross-dresser. So it's the kind of people who, you know, they do suffer prejudice, they do suffer stereotyping, stigma, whatever you want to call it.
So can you come in and talk to these people?
Yes, that's the whole idea, that members of the public will come in and they'll look at the list of books available and choose one, and we're going to have tea and cake, if that's an incentive, and sit down and have a chat.
What else is happening over the next 2 weeks?
On Thursday evening, which is the 9th, I'm performing here for about an hour from 7 o'clock. I've written a poetry play which got picked up and done in a few different places, so I'll be performing that on Thursday evening. And next Saturday, so that's Saturday the 11th, in a week's time, we're holding a pop-up Pride. It's a matter of making these events happen and then seeing what on earth comes up. And it's always a surprise. There'll definitely be poetry and there'll be dance, because I have a dance student who wants to come and dance, and we have a beautiful space. And I have a friend who plays calypsos on the ukulele. He's coming to do some of that. And there's an intervention by two ladies from Folkestone who are interested in whispers and Chinese whispers and how a message changes over time. So, yeah, there'll be stuff going on, really.
Can we just run through the exhibition space that we're sitting in at the moment? Extremely colourful. Lots of statements on the walls. Can you run me through exactly what the exhibition is about?
Well, I have, I suppose my artistic statement, if you want to be arty-farty about it, is I am a poem. And basically, I'm very interested in using text. I'm interested in poetry. I'm interested in what constitutes a poem, how little you need for it to be a poem. I'm interested in found poetry, when you can find a little bit of text and think that's beautifully written and put it up on a wall. And in a way, that's exactly what Duchamp did. And I like to mention Marcel Duchamp, because he came to Folkestone way back in 1933. He was part of the chess team. And he was the man who put a urinal in an art gallery and made us all see it completely different, called it a fountain, you know. And so sometimes, I find little bits of text, and it's the context that you see them in. For instance, up behind me, I've got a huge rainbow, a black and white rainbow, and speech bubbles, and the speech bubbles are parts of people's coming out stories. And just little tiny snippets. So one up there says, I hold down my heart, fake heart, afraid of pain, no game, no shame. And then another one says, came out, more like fell out after I tripped over the sequin stilettos my mate left lying around. So the little snippets of conversations, if you like, kind of writ large, made into made into art or poetry, whatever you want to call them.
And is it anyone specific that you've got these conversations from?
That's a very good question, Sarah. Yes, I've collected 300 coming out stories so far. A friend of mine, Michelle Savage, up in Norfolk, the two of us have been collecting coming out stories. We've used them, we've displayed them in different places, mainly up in Norfolk. It's the first time actually they've been outside of Norfolk. I think it's a really good way of introducing to people the concept of how difficult it can be for some people to come out. And I think that's the problem. It's a very personal journey. And so even though society may be much more accepting now, and I accept that it is, and much more welcoming, and of course, lots of people think, well, there is no homophobia, but there is. Sadly, there is. And kids get bullied in schools, People take their own lives. I mean, this is like serious stuff. So I think anything you can do to try and improve that situation has to be good.
And are all the coming out stories that you've collected extremely different? Is there a similar pattern in some of them?
No, I think that's like life. Some of those are the complete tragedies, in a tiny little speech bubble. People get beaten, people don't speak to their families for 20 years, people, lose contact with all their friends, all of those things over their sexuality. And really that's nonsense. If somebody developed a disability or if they were a different colour or, we know all those things are wrong, but some people still have this hang-up about sexuality. And listen, the day that we don't need to have LGBT History Month, that'll be beautiful. That'll be perfect. That'll mean, there isn't any need for it because we're all in this together and we all accept that. And we all want everyone to be the best they can be regardless of all those things. That's the best society we can have, surely.
My cousin came out to me, actually. I was the first person that she came out to. And in her mind, I think she built it up. She was so worried about telling me that in the end I guessed. Do you think that that's also sometimes quite common where the worry of telling actually becomes worse than actually the coming out?
Yes, of course it is. But the thing is, we're most worried about telling the people we most love, because that's the people who we most fear being rejected by. I mean, you can tell somebody down the pub or whatever if you choose to, and if they don't like it, then you're probably never going to see them again. But, as I say, there are stories here of people who never speak to their father again or never speak to their mother again. I mean, that's a very cruel way to respond. So I suppose the lesson, if there's a lesson from it, is just to make people think about it a little bit more, and then hopefully that people can be a little bit more supportive of people who are unsure of their sexuality, or they're sure of it, but it isn't the same as everybody else's. It's just one of those things, isn't it?
Is there any message that you'd like to give out, not necessarily to young people considering coming out, but just in acceptance in the community in general?
I think young people generally are very accepting, and but you just get little pockets. And I also think that some people, they don't really realise they're bullying other people. They don't realise how damaging it is. Actually, that's the problem. And actually, also when you're young, there's always this thing where you don't want to stand out from the crowd, and so you're kind of trying to be, the same as everybody else. It's frightening to not be, And it's a time when you're probably not sure about your own sexuality. You might want to experiment with it. You might want to, you're not sure what it is. And so you can't even really nail your own colours to the mast because you're not really sure what those colours are. So I think it's just a matter of let's all be a bit more tolerant of each other, whatever our differences are, whether it's sexuality or colour or somebody's, comes from a broken home or whatever, I think it's just that idea of being a little bit more accepting, really. That would be nice.
And entrance to the gallery, is there a fee to come to the gallery and have a look at the exhibition?
£100 each. No, unfortunately it's free. I'm not allowed to charge you. But, come along. It's open every day except Sunday, 10 till 5. Come to some of the events if you want to come to the events. I'll be here a lot of the time. Come and say hello. Come and have a look. Come and buy something even.
Thanks very much for talking to us today, and good luck with the exhibition.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Thank you.